Read it. Roses are red, violets are blue. Underage drinking's bad for the brain, so no alcohol for you. Love, Mom.
I'm home. I'll be right back.
Hey, welcome back to Pacer Talks About Bullying. I'm Bailey. Thanks for joining us. This month, our theme is all about the realities of bullying. One question we get asked a lot is bullying and conflict. What's the difference? So in this week's episode, we're going to break it down a little bit to share what is the difference between bullying and conflict. Well, conflict is when there's a disagreement between two people. So for example, maybe your friend wants to go see the new movie all about dragons, whereas you want to see the newest romantic comedy. But bullying is when something is done to hurt or harm another person on purpose, either emotionally or physically. We're going to break it down a little bit further in this week's episode, so make sure you stick around. One of the first things to look at when differentiating bullying and conflict is all about power. So in conflict, it's between individuals who have equal power, so a classmate or friend, and they're arguing or disagreeing about something. Whereas with bullying, there is an imbalance of power. So the student who is doing the bullying behavior has more power than the student who is experiencing the bullying. Now that can be power in a few different senses. It can be being physically larger or stronger. It can be being more popular or having a higher social status. Or it can be being in a group and having that power in numbers. But when looking at bullying versus conflict, it's important to go back to the power aspect to see if there's neutral or if there's that imbalance of power as there is in bullying. Another difference to look at is that in conflict, students usually realize when a line's been crossed and when they're hurting another person and want to change that behavior. Whereas in bullying, students often continue to bully even after they realize they're hurting or harming another person. In bullying, students find a vulnerability in the person that they're bullying and often find satisfaction in that hurt or harm. And finally, in conflict, neither party feels unsafe or threatened. Yes, it's really hurtful to get into an argument with your best friend or a classmate, but you never feel unsafe at school or threatened. Whereas with bullying, students not only feel hurt or harmed, but they feel unsafe at school or online or in the community and are unable to defend themselves. It goes back to that imbalance of power where the student who is experiencing bullying has less power and has a hard time gaining control of the situation and stopping what's happening to them. So now that we know the difference between bullying and conflict, why is it important? Well, it's an important thing to note the difference between the two because the way that we handle conflict and bullying is so different. In conflict, like we talked about, students have equal power, so they're able to resolve the situation together and usually want things to go back to normal, having a healthy relationship. Whereas with bullying, as there's this imbalance of power, the way we deal with it is a little bit differently because we want to make sure the student who's experiencing bullying feels comfortable and has the opportunity to share their story and be empowered in the action plan. If you want more information on bullying versus conflict, you can visit our website, pacer.org/bullying. Make sure to join us right back here next week as we continue to explore some of the realities about bullying. And remember, when we stand together, no one stands alone. See ya!
Everybody has hate and love in their heart, and they can pick which one. To make a bully, you usually pick hate. To make a good person, you pick love.
Hi, Camilla.
Hi, Daddy.
What do you know about bullying?
A bully teases. A bully physically hurts people and does other things that aren't really nice.
It could be emotional stuff, like hurting people's feelings.
I think it's mostly like just somebody making other people feel bad about themselves.
Do you know that I was bullied when I was a little girl? When I moved to my new town, I met a girl I thought was my friend, and she was nice to me at first. She came to school one day and said that she was having a birthday party and told the entire class that I was only invited because her mother was making her invite the new girl.
You know, I grew up with the name Kwaku Moody. It wasn't a name like Mike or Tim or Bill or whatever. So I used to get made fun of a lot, and it would make me feel really, really bad about my name. I used to want to change my name.
Can I tell you something? When I was your age, in first grade, I was a bully. How does that make you feel to hear that?
Well, I was going to expect you to say the opposite.
Yeah, I wasn't the nicest kid. I was angry. My dad had just really left my life. And so I unfortunately took it out on other people. It was a really important lesson for me to learn that I need to treat other people the way that I want to be treated.
And you're doing a very good job of doing that, so.
If you could say something to a bully your age, what would you say?
It's not cool to make people feel sad just because you feel that way. If you see a bully, you have to stand up to them and say, that was not nice.
But isn't that sometimes scary?
It might be, but you have to be brave. There's no other way around it, unless bullies are going to take over.
Why do you think bullies act the way they do?
Their home lives aren't very supportive. Their parents, they just don't have the opportunity to show the attention and love that this kid needs.
Maybe they don't have any friends. They feel like they need to bully to be anything at all.
Do you think that a bully deserves a little bit of sympathy sometimes?
Definitely. They're not always mean because they just want to be. There usually is a situation behind that.
I'm very proud that both of you are not only able to recognize or be kind to someone who's feeling bullied, but I'm even more proud of you for recognizing that the bully deserves kindness too. I think that makes me, as a mother, I'm really proud of you.
Every single person on this earth is different. But at the end of the day, it's that uniqueness that makes us really special. So it's never a thing to be made fun of.
So what can we do to maybe help a bully find that love that you think is in everyone's heart?
You have to give them someone to love. Remember, you lost someone that you loved. That's partly how you became a bully. And then your teacher respected you, and that was kind of love. So I think everybody needs someone to love or something to love. I think that's what it goes back to.
You're making me cry because of how much I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah.
Hello today. I have my ups and downs, just like anybody else.
Maybe more than anybody else.
I can be hard to figure out.
And I like my privacy.
I don't want you looking over my shoulder all the time.
But you know your kid better than anybody else. And if you think he's acting different than usual...
Acting really down, crying all the time for no good reason.
Or getting really mad.
Not able to sleep, or sleeping too much.
Shutting her friends out or giving her stuff away.
Acting reckless, drinking, using drugs, staying out late.
Suddenly not doing stuff he used to love.
Or doing stuff that's just not like him.
It might be nothing to worry about. It might just be high school.
Or it might be something more. He might be depressed.
Not just feeling down, really depressed.
It might be that your kid is thinking about killing himself.
It happens. More than you think. More than it should.
And people say, I had no idea.
I thought it was just a phase he was going through.
I never thought she'd do it.
I wish he'd come to me.
I wish he'd said something.
I wish I'd said something.
When it's too late. So if you think your kid's acting different, if she seems like a different person, say something.
Say, what's wrong? How can I help?
And ask straight out. Are you thinking about killing yourself?
It doesn't hurt to ask. In fact, it helps.
When people are thinking about killing themselves, they want somebody to ask.
They want somebody to care.
Maybe you're afraid you'll make it worse if you ask. Like, you'll put the idea in their head.
Believe me, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
In fact, the best way to keep a teenager from killing herself is to ask, are you thinking about killing yourself?
And what if they say yes?
Or maybe.
Or sometimes.
Well, here's what you don't say.
That's crazy.
Don't be such a drama queen.
You're making too much of this.
That boy's not worth killing
yourself
over.
That's not going to solve anything.
You're just trying to get attention.
You're not going to kill yourself.
What you do say is,
I'm sorry you're feeling so bad.
How can I help?
We'll get through this together.
Let's keep you safe.
A lot of people think about killing themselves. Adults and kids.
most of them never try it, but some of them do. So if your kid says,
I'd be better off dead.
I can't live with this.
I'm gonna kill myself,
take her seriously. Find someone she can talk to about it. Someone who knows how to help.
Sometimes kids want to kill themselves because something happened. A breakup, a failure.
But sometimes it goes deeper, and it's not going to go away by itself.
Get some help. Talk to your doctor.
Or a counselor at school.
Or your minister.
But don't just let it drop.
And make sure that your kid always has someone to turn to. Someone he trusts.
Make a list together, right then. 3, 4, 5 names.
Put a suicide hotline number on there too.
Have him keep that list in his wallet, so he always knows where to turn.
Make sure your home is safe.
If you have pills she could use to hurt herself, lock them up.
If you have a gun, don't just lock it up. Get it out of the house. The bullets, too.
And one more thing. If you think your kid might be about to hurt himself, don't leave him alone.
Take him to the emergency room.
Call 911 if you have to.
We all have our ups and downs, but sometimes it's more than that.
If you think something's wrong, the only way to find out is to ask.
Ask straight out. Are you thinking about killing yourself?
Don't wait until you're sure. Trust your gut.
Because it never hurts to ask.
And it can make a big difference.
All the difference.
In your kid's life.
Social media can be a blessing and a curse. Talking to strangers, bullying, sexting, feeling inadequate.
You might think you know what's going on with your kids online, but do you really? Mike?
Yeah, that's really the big question, isn't it, Dave? To get answers, KSL investigators surveyed hundreds of parents and teens. We asked direct questions like, have you ever been bullied? And have you ever sent a nude picture? We even asked, what do you do that would shock your parents?
Pop quiz for you. Who's got a teenager? Okay, that's a lot of hands. All right, whose teens use social media? Almost everyone? All right, good. Now, who knows exactly what your teen is doing online? Now, wait a second, don't tell me, because we actually have some answers for you. The KSL investigators sent out a survey to hundreds of Utah teens and parents. We wanted to know what kids are saying about social media versus what parents think they know. Here are the players. All the kids are between 13 to 17 years old. About half, 47%, are in high school. The other half are in junior high or middle school. And most of them are girls. Oh, and let's introduce you.
What do teenagers think about Facebook?
Old people.
To this group: Annika, Katrina, Anthony, Liza, and Belle. 5 teens brave enough.
What would shock your parents?
To answer some tough questions.
That you see or that you do?
Both.
Oh, man.
All right, Anthony, we're going to get back to that one. But first, let's talk stranger danger. In the survey, only 34% of parents in our survey said their teen has talked online to somebody they do not know. But 47% of teens admitted to doing it. And among our group, every single one says they have chatted with a stranger.
They talk a little differently, I feel like.
But say they can pick out the bad ones right away.
They ask more like personal questions, like, what city do you live in? Or like, what's your name?
Now, when it comes to online bullying, parents and kids were on the same page, with 23% saying they or their teen had been a victim of bullying. When asked to explain, responses included,
I get called names.
And
someone posted a video making fun of my voice.
But even worse,
some girls kept telling me I was worthless and I should kill myself.
If you ask our group,
I've been told that.
I've been told it too.
That happens all the time.
They were like, the world would be better without you. You should go kill yourself. Like, I'll buy you a gun. I'll kill you myself. I'm like, what?
So, who's doing the bullying? In the survey, 17% of parents said their child had done it. But 28% of teens actually admitted to saying something mean online. Our next topic, well, it's touchy.
It's kids I would never expect.
Sexting.
Does sexting happen at school?
According to our survey, the answer is yes. But this is an area where parents may be in the dark. In the survey, 24% of teens say they have been asked for nude or partially clothed photos, but only 15% of parents answered yes. 20% say they have received those photos versus 12% of parents who said their teen had. And 10% say they have sent those photos, while just 5% of parents said that's happened. But Colin Karchner...
Our phones have an impact on our brain.
It's definitely going on a lot more than we think it is, and it's happening younger and younger.
Says those numbers are way off.
That's way too low. I'll stand in front of a group of 8th graders in Salt Lake County and say, how many of this week have had a photo come on your phone, maybe you didn't pass or share, but maybe just was sent to you this week, and 90% of the hands will go up.
83% of kids.
Karchner is an extremely popular youth advocate. He travels the country talking to teens. He has more than 75,000 followers on Instagram.
My goal is to save the kids. That's what it is.
But he uses it to talk about why social media can be so damaging.
Just keeping up with notifications, and it's dealing with drama and stress and everything. It's just too much for some of these kids to handle.
All right, now for that big question. We asked teens, have you ever done anything on social media that would surprise your parents? Well, many of the answers fit the topics we just covered.
I looked at stuff I shouldn't have. Looked at porn. Sent nudes.
I would say maybe something that shocked my parents is just like maybe how many people I'm following that I don't know very like personally. People have asked me like for nudes or something like that before. It's like a real thing, and I think it shocked me, so I'm sure it shocked my parents. So.
But while sexting, bullying, and strangers are all concerns,
is there a dark side to social media?
Yeah. Definitely.
There is one area that affects teens more than anything.
They're not posting their failures. They're only posting the good things that you're doing.
You're really just comparing your life to other people's lives, and that's not gonna bring any happiness to you.
Most of the teens surveyed agree. When asked to name something negative about social media, the overwhelming response,
you're not good enough. Feel bad about yourself. Loneliness.
The biggest thing that gets teens down is comparing themselves to others. Karchner understands the dilemma.
It's hard for kids to say, I want to get off social media. I know it's ruining my self-esteem or it's giving me depression, but I'm going to be disconnected from everyone.
So, what's the solution? A whopping 93% of parents say they regularly talk to their teen about social media. But only 63% of teens say the same. When asked what would make you feel more comfortable sharing more,
If they didn't judge me,
here's what parents need to hear.
less fear of consequences.
If they would relax and just listen before they start yelling at me about how I messed up.
How do I get them to open up to me?
When I say, why don't you talk to mom? Why don't you talk to dad about this? Number one response, if I do, they'll take my phone.
Karchner and the teens we surveyed had the same advice for parents.
If I'm forced not to, that makes me want to.
Shame and punishment does not work. Instead, in a world where teens are always connected, make sure they're also connected to you.
And so I tell parents, I say, we have to turn this phone. It has to stop being the pawn, the dance of I give and I take, and this is reward and punishment. Because in that dance, we're losing connection with our kids.
Karchner says there needs to be a new attitude of love and no shaming. He also says parents need to realize if they give kids technology that is meant for adults, they're going to make some mistakes. And when they do, he says parents need to be there to guide them and to love them.